folks, we will continue with the Cloud Native Essentials tutorial. This is the second video of the series. In the last video, we containerized an application. We first created an application, Golang application, and then we tested the application. Then we created and we used Docker and Docker's tools and a Docker file to create a container image. We tested that container image. We ran a container based on that container image, and we were able to launch our application with Docker. So on this second video, and this next step here, and our next stop on the Cloud Native journey is container registry. So once we have created a container image, we need a place to host this container image, and we also need a place not just to host the container image, but also a place to also pull from as well. There's public container registries out there, but for this tutorial we will use Harbor, which is a CNCF graduated project, and we will install Harbor. There's multiple ways to install Harbor. You can install Harbor on top of Kubernetes with the Helm chart. In this case, we're going to actually use Docker Compose, and so we will our first step with Harbor is to install Docker Compose. A few more things as this is installing. We will set up, for posterity for this tutorial, we will set up Harbor to use HTTP only and not HTTPS. So in order for Docker to interact with an insecure registry, we also have to configure Docker to do that. So we have to create a daemon.json under etc/docker. So the first step, which this will not be click to run, so you do have to copy and paste. We will create an /etc/docker/daemon.json here. We're going to go to VI, press I to insert. We will copy and paste our insecure registries here. Notice it's harbor.thepublicip.slip.io, and we will hit escape, and WQ. And in order for Docker to take the changes, we have to, of course, restart Docker. So let's to daemon reload, then we will restart Docker here. Now we'll go into the actual installation of Harbor. We're going to use the online installer. So we're going to download the archive from Harbor's repo. And we will verify to make sure that the archive is correct. We will download the ASC file. And we will obtain the public key for the ASC file here with GPG here. Next, we will verify the package. We'll use GPG once again to verify the package. And we get good signature, so we can continue. Next, we will extract the installer package. Harbor comes with a configuration file we do need to configure. So the Harbor does give us the templates of that file. So we will create the Harbor configuration file from the template. So let's copy the template into the Harbor configuration file, which is the YAML file. The first thing to update in the Harbor configuration file in harbor.yaml is to update the host name or the URL for this Harbor instance. So we will do a sed command here, update reg.mydomain.com with harbor.thepublicip.slip.io. Next step is not click to run, so we do have to go back and use VI here to edit harbor.yaml. We will comment out the HTTPS section so that we will only use HTTP. So now we're in VI, and let's go hit I to insert, comment out HTTP, comment out port, :443, comment out certificate, comment out the private key, and hit escape, WQ, enter. Now we'll use the Harbor install.sh to install Harbor, download or pull the Harbor's container images and actually run them. So let's hit and let's click and run sudo and we will install use the install.sh. So now it's pulling the various Harbor container images. So we'll let that run. And Harbor will also use Docker Compose to start as well. So there are several commands that are different with Docker Compose versus Docker. So you can look this up if you're interested. It's simply just Docker-compose down or Docker-compose up to start your application. All right, let's check out the Harbor containers and do Docker PS. All right, so we have various Harbor containers running. Now let's verify we can access our Harbor instance. So let's do a Docker login. This is not click to run here. You do have to enter and type in the default admin credentials, which is username admin. And the password is Harbor12345. Login succeeded. Notice here that the password will be stored as well on this machine. So any kind of Docker pulls that needs to be authenticated we can authenticate now to this Harbor instance. Now let's access the UI of Harbor and let's make sure we can log in. Next step as well, we will also create a new project or repository for our container image called Cloud Native Essentials. So let's click on this link to access Harbor. Type in the credentials. Do login. All right, now we're inside Harbor. Let's create a new project here. Let's call it Cloud Native Essentials. Let's do the access level as public, but first let's take a look what that means. That means the project is set to public, means anyone can read this repository in this project here, and the user does not need to run Docker login, which we just did to pull the images under this project. All right, so let's go back to Hobby Farm here. Let's go to the next step here. So now we are going to push our container image to Harbor. But before we do that, we need to change our container image so that it reflects our Harbor instance and the repository Cloud Native Essentials as well. So let's do a Docker tag here. I'll take the simple app tag 0.1, and also let's do a Docker image ls here. So we have our simple app. One is with the same image ID. And we have one that we've just created based on that same container image with the Harbor instance and the repository as well. Now let's push this container image to our Harbor instance. So it's pushing all the layers here. And also the next step here, we will now pull our container image from our Harbor instance. But before we do that, let's remove the container images we have locally to make sure that our image that we're using is actually from our Harbor instance. Let's do Docker image rm to remove the various simple app container images. We can verify with Docker image ls again here. So now we only have the Harbor container images. Let's do a Docker run, and Docker run does two things. Docker run will pull the image if it's not available locally, and it will also run an instance of that container as well. So let's do Docker run and give the name simple app. We're going to expose port 8080 on the host and map it to port 8080 on the container. We'll run a detach as well, and --rm is an option. So when we stop this container, it will also remove the container as well. And we're going to reference our container image that's hosted on our Harbor instance. So it says here, unable to find the image locally, so it's pulling. But we already have layers existed since we built this container image on this machine here. So this container is now running. Let's open a browser and check to see our container. And it is up and running. Now we could stop this container from running. We'll Docker stop simple app. All right, we're gonna pause here, stop here for this video. we just completed the container registry part of our cloud native journey, where we installed a Harbor CNCF, which is a CNCF graduate project, a Harbor container registry. We pushed our container image that we built before, and we pulled from the Harbor instance our container image, and we ran a container. All right, next step after this will be Kubernetes. So let's stop this video for now, and we will come back.